My name is Conor Johnston, and in early 2012, met a candidate who was running against the mayor's appointee in District 5, where I lived, and worked on her campaign, or volunteered, I should say, on her campaign throughout that year of 2012, not thinking that she was going to win. In fact, pretty much nobody thought she was going to win, but she did. She ended up winning by 13 points, a little over 13 points, I think. And went on to become District 5 Supervisor London Breed, and I was fortunate enough to persuade her to hire me as one of her 3 staffers from the outset. So.
But right from the first meeting, she told you, and was Supervisor Cheryl's name mentioned there, or was it just that Bloomberg has made an ask?
She told me that Mike Bloomberg had called her personally. It sounded like over the summer of 2024, and asked her to appoint Stephen. She wasn't really speaking to her City Hall staff about this issue at all. So there was a very limited pool of people who she was confiding in. And unfortunately, I was one of those. I may have been the premier person who she was confiding in about her thought process on this, which was a very conflicted role that I don't think either of us were super comfortable with even then. And so we spoke multiple times during those intervening 5 weeks between the election and the appointment of Stephen. And during those conversations, she told me things like, this one's for me, meaning this appointment. Mm-hmm. I'm 50 years old and about to be out of a job. I need to think about my financial future. Mike Bloomberg called me and asked me. They, meaning Bloomberg World, are going to set me up. I have a lot of expenses. I need to worry about how I'm going to pay for things. A variety of comments along those lines. At every point, I pushed back. At every single point. But again, I was in this conflicted role, right? Am I offering advice because that's what I believe is the correct advice, or because I'm trying to talk her out of appointing somebody other than me? I suppose both were true, but more than anything, I was concerned about her saying those things. I couldn't believe she was saying those things, to be honest. It was very out of character. It wasn't the person who I had worked with for the preceding 12 years. But yes, to answer your question, I pushed back every single time, as ardently as I could. And we have a long professional relationship of me pushing on things and being able to read the subtle cues of which way she's leaning and knowing the right moments or the right things to say that might be persuasive. I threw every trick I had in the book at this.
I am confused because London Breed is not a naive person in any way, shape, or form, but it strikes me as incongruous to say the things that you are saying she said out loud, to say it to multiple people, to do so on a telephonic device. Can you get into that?
It's extremely out of character. It was very concerning. Don't forget that there have been multiple investigations in San Francisco where the FBI has tapped elected officials' phones. And the Dreamkeeper Initiative investigation was ongoing at this point. So I flagged that. It's entirely possible somebody's listening to what you're saying on your phone. So I reached out to a couple of her staffers and said, I need to see her immediately. And went down to City Hall, and then she was in meetings, and so I waited for about an hour. Finally got in, and as one person said, basically jumped in front of the train. I honestly think that meeting might have permanently damaged our relationship, because I was very honest. I said, what you're considering is potentially illegal. It's certainly wrong, and you can't do it. And the response I ultimately got was, it was very inconsiderate of you to come to my office today, and you weren't properly dressed.
You didn't have this gray suit.
Did not have the suit. I wasn't planning on, didn't wake up that morning thinking that's what I was going to do. I thought that I was helping a friend. Being a messenger in a difficult circumstance to try to dissuade her from doing something that I thought would be horrible for her. And that's not how it was received.
How long did that meeting last?
Boy, the short, painful life of that meeting was maybe 20 minutes.
At any point during that meeting, did you feel like you could have any success in altering her mind?
I felt like she was very mad at me. And probably regretful about some of the things that she had said previously. Some of the things that were explicit about her motivation for appointing Stephen.
You worked with London Breed from 2012 to 2017.
Yes.
Supervisor Breed had a succession of legislative aides, but you were always there. You were steadily there. You have more than a professional relationship. What is your hope for speaking the way you are today, and what do you think will come of it?
Two things. That's a really good question, Joe. There's two things. Because obviously I've put a lot of thought to this in the intervening 18 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
When I look back on my career 20 years from now, or whatever, maybe when we're plugged into the matrix and the AI is running the world, I want to look back on a person who told the truth. You know, I am a Jesuit high school graduate. I think of that, what is it, John 8:32, that the truth will set you free. And like I mentioned, everybody I've talked to about doing this interview with you has told me not to do it. And said that it's only going to bring negativity on me. And my thinking is, I would rather be disliked for telling the truth than liked for being complicit in something that I know is wrong.
Have you spoken to Mayor Breed about your decision?
No.
What would you say to her?
She broke my heart. You know this, I think. I used to write, I was generally responsible for the flourish in her speeches, you know. San Francisco, no longer be bound by the shackles of your negativity. We're a dragon ready to soar. I wrote a lot of the flourish. So before AI could do all this for us. And one of the sentiments that we would always go back to that was very much a defining theme in the 2018 campaign for sure is San Francisco is a city where a girl can go from public housing to the mayor's office. And I really believed that. That was really the promise of London Breed and of that 2018 race. I want to believe that is still true. And in her last act in that office, she didn't just betray that sentiment, she sold it out in the worst, most indefensible way to one of the richest men in the world. It broke my heart.
One last question, which is a two-parter, which is why are you doing this and why are you doing this now?
I feel a real obligation to tell the truth. I think I know things that the voters in District 2 have a right to know and to consider. And I asked you to film this, and I asked you to put this video online because I want people to look at me and decide if they think what I'm saying is credible. I want them to evaluate this testimony and decide if they think they should vote for somebody who got into office this way. That's the best I can do. I think not doing that would make me complicit in the perpetuation of something that was blatantly corrupt. it's certainly not easy. I don't want to be here. This is horrible. You know, when you serve as an advisor, and I consult for companies as well as political candidates and office holders, sometimes informally, just as a friend, sometimes formally. One of the things that's sacrosanct is that whatever they tell you, whatever you tell them, remains confidential. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. It's not illegal or ethical bound, but it's just one of those things that you really try to hold sacrosanct. And I hate the fact that I'm violating that. But I was put in this situation where somebody I was close to told me things that were just horribly wrong. And so for 16, 18 months, I've wrestled with what to do with that. And a lot of people will tell you that I've made the wrong choice. Maybe I have in doing this. But it's the one that I think is right.